Rhode Island has always had a complicated and fascinating relationship with religion. It goes back to the origins of the state, Roger Williams and all of that. And last year, for the first time, a group held a Day of Reason in Rhode Island. It was a moment not just about atheism, but about public life, civic engagement, and what it means to participate in a pluralistic society. Today, we're going to explore the people behind that, the Rhode Island Atheists. They join me on Bartholomew Town.
Welcome
into Bartholomew Town. I'm Bill Bartholomew. The Rhode Island Atheists last year with the Day of Reason. It was a major breakthrough in a lot of ways. It was something that received a proclamation from Secretary of State Greg Amore. And obviously, this is a religious freedom conversation. Obviously, this is something that is tied in theory and obviously, hopefully in practice to Rhode Island's identity. But what's interesting about this group is that they've taken their cause, if you will, they've taken their religious freedom identity and turned it into a political vessel, working on issues like reproductive freedom, working on issues like banned books and all that nonsense. This is an engaged group that is kind of unlike anybody else in the state's political ecosystem. So we welcome John Mertus and Brian Cardoza from the Rhode Island Atheists here on the podcast today. Remember, new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday wherever you get podcasts, and weekends on WPRO Radio. Are you looking to advance in your career or explore a new field? The University of Rhode Island now offers a comprehensive portfolio of fully online programs designed to bring world-class education to you anytime, anywhere. Choose from a wide range of flexible asynchronous programs in business and leadership, data, tech and STEM, healthcare and pharmacy, marine and environmental sciences, and much more. With expert faculty and innovative courses, you'll gain the skills and knowledge to thrive in today's competitive world. Ready to take the next step? Visit uri.edu/online and discover how URI Online can help you achieve your goals. URI Online. Learn anywhere with us. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communications, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Learn more at halfstreetgroup.com. All right, the Rhode Island Atheists, welcome back into Bartholomew Town. Brian Cardoza, John Mertus. It has been, last year a major year for you with the Day of Reason. Obviously, this in tandem with a great deal of other activism work that you do on the ground. I think that's what separates your group from a lot of others, is that you have a main sort of issue, if you will, and then that is parlayed quite well into a lot of other social issues. So let's get right into some of the work that you've done in the last year and how you've kind of continued to build your profile. John Mertus, if you want to talk about some of the victories, if you will, that you've had in the last 365 days.
Well, we had the Day of Reason, and like I said, that's our big day. And unfortunately, the minority speaker, Chippendale, compared us to Pol Pot. And
really?
If you remember you may not remember who Pol Pot was, but he was one of the worst dictators in Cambodia. He killed over 1/4 of his population off by just clubbing them. And the U.S. gave him $1 billion, by the way. But so that was very upsetting, annoying to me to be compared to us, because he's a Marxist atheist. And the word atheist becomes the key word there, not Marxist,
Yeah,
and so
it just speaks to the stupidity level also of minority leader Mike Chippendale, who not only has no idea historically about who Pol Pot is clearly, but also is unwilling to acknowledge the community that he lives in here that has an extraordinary amount of refugees from that particular incident or series of incidents. So again, you're dealing with lowest common denominator when you've got the Rhode Island Republicans involved. There's no other way to put it. They're unstudied and undisciplined, and they make comments like that, and that's what you get.
Right. And as I said, when we introduce ourselves, we say that we're an activist, humanist organization for the normalization of atheism. And that's kind of it's kind of funny because people drop the thought of normalization of atheism. I mean, it's kind of like the Holy Trinity. You got the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, but the Holy Ghost is never mentioned. And because I'd be really pissed, I would say, hey, I'm doing all the recruiting. What am I getting out of this?
Right.
Nothing. But the same way with normalization, and that's it. I just want to say a few words about that. And back in the 1960s, there was an election between Kennedy and Nixon. Kennedy was Catholic, and I remember sitting in the Lutheran church talking about how Kennedy was going to make all of us say Mass. Okay? Jump forward to Biden. What's his religion? Catholic. Nobody said a peep about that. That's normalization. And or if you look at another level, which we work with, we're trying to also, the gay community. You look on television, you see now that there's couples that are gay on television, but they're not portrayed, that's not their point. They just have to be couples that are gay. It's normalization. And that's the type of stuff that as it builds, becomes very strong in normalizing our community. So one of the things we try to do is we try to get people to just, recognize what we do and everything. And that basically, we're humanists who just happen to believe in a God. So Brian can make some comments about that.
Yeah, so our visibility, I think, is foremost our biggest goal is normalizing the atheism, as John said, and just making a more equitable society, in general. We like the fact that us atheists are usually in the mix of a lot of the big bills that happen, a lot of the changes that are being made positively in the state are headed, not necessarily biased, but we're in the mix, and I like the fact that we're in that. And we're working on a right to vote right now. We also have a bill that we're working on with RI Cares. It's SB 2575. It's to prohibit cities and towns from redistricting sober houses. So we've been working in the recovery in that space too for a little while. So anything but, like what John said, normalizing atheism is our first goal.
Yeah, and I think that is really happening in a lot of ways because of the work that you do, where you're able to, I don't want to say compartmentalize, because that's not actually what's happening here, but I think the perception from a lot of people might be you're able to compartmentalize your work in different spaces in a way that makes it so in each of those spaces you've been effective. And you mentioned voter rolls, and obviously this is something that a lot of people are going to be flagging, paying attention to from a skeptical standpoint. We know our own Secretary of State has described our voter rolls as extraordinarily healthy. And that's going to be a battle. You've got a relationship with the Secretary of State because of the Day of Freedom. What does that issue mean to you in terms of, you talk about integrity, people believing in the infrastructure of this country's democracy? How does that tie into your work?
John, you want to take that?
Well, I think one thing is that people are coming out and realizing that they have to support everybody. And so when they see a group of like us trying to be public about reason or things like this, even one thing that I'm very proud of is that we have sandwiches without sermons. We distribute food, and the people will come up to us, we'll give them a sandwich and they'll say, God bless you. And we say, thank you. We don't have any comment whatsoever about the fact that we're atheists. And, it's just who we are. And I think that that's quite, I don't know. That's what we try to do.
Yeah.
So working with religious groups is something that we kind of take pride into. We aren't anti-theist. We are inclusive to the fact where we will also engage and work real close with churches, with religions that we don't subscribe to. I think that we could make this world and this space available for everybody, Atheists included, though. First and foremost, atheists included. We want to have a voice on top of that, but in order to have that, we have to kind of carve a little space out for ourselves, make ourselves included, and kind of lead by example with that. We're not shunning even, things that we don't subscribe to, as long as the principles are in line, the beliefs can take second stage. They don't have to be at the forefront,
Yeah. That's a super smart way of organizing. I think a lot of other organizations would do well to take a look at that ability to have a central theme, have a central ethos, but then, because look, I think a really interesting thing you noted is some of the working with religious organizations, if you're handing out food to people and they say, God bless you, and you don't respond with, there is no God.
Yeah, no, we don't do that.
That is
we don't do that.
But we have moved towards an era now where people are staking such firm positions that they have no ability to have either empathy or even just be like cool. And that's a huge difference maker in the work that you guys are doing.
That's right. Our day of reason is also highlighted. Freedom of religion is a freedom of religion, for everybody, no matter what your belief is. It's your faith, and I understand that faith is personal to a lot of people. It's something that people will literally die for. So I don't encroach on that, and I don't mock it, and I also won't belittle it or negate it. It's for them.
But it doesn't also mean that we don't respond strongly to the Christian nationalists.
That's right.
And we quite strongly, and we work as hard as we can, including we have members when these semi-Christian nationalists come to school board meetings trying to ban books. We have members who go out and talk at the school board meetings and things like that. So what I'm saying is that we will respond to people who attempt to distort the freedom of religion and freedom of their religion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remind them of freedom of religion comes with a freedom from religion. That's, you don't need to impose your will on anybody else to get your point across,
Yeah, and what's so interesting right now is we're in a moment, it's obviously a global thing, it's a national thing, but here in Rhode Island we see there's this correlation that a block, BLOC, has drawn between, it's not exclusively a religious purity test, but they're using it in that way.
I understand what you mean.
And we're talking about the book ban people. We're talking about the transphobic, basically it's all one group of people. It's all the same group. They ride around the state. They go to school committee meetings. This is their hobby. This is what gets them in. They have phone calls late night, gearing up for going to battle with whatever, Westerly School Committee.
Yeah.
This is their thing. And all of that's fine, except for it's drawing in a level of, hey, if you're not aligned with us on some sort of spiritual rubric, then you're scum. And that's the message they've sent. So it's good that you're out there resisting it in a way that is mature and accurate, because we need more and more of that and less hysterics, because honestly, that is only going to fuel the fire when it comes to this.
Yeah, it just makes things worse. Right.
Let's talk about the Day of Reason 2026. When's that coming up?
So that'll be May 6th at 2:00. I think it's gonna be in the library this year, right, Sean?
It's in the library this year. We get new digs,
Yeah.
in the bell room. Now we're in this nice library.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the secretary,
Very formal.
the Secretary of State is going to speak, and I'm going to say a little bit, because of Chippendale, I'm not going to respond to him whatsoever, but I'm going to respond to why we support reason. So
I'd like for him to come. I'd invite him, but I think he'd take it. I think he'd take it as me being sarcastic, and that's not it at all. I'd like for him to come. I'd like for him to know what it was about, rather than just assume that we're of the devil or that we're in opposition to his beliefs, I'd rather for him to come and see and listen and see what we're all about. Just don't assume because we don't believe like you, we don't have this, we're not principled, we're not, empathetic, we're not driven to do good things,
Prick me do not we bleed.
Yeah, we when we received a resolution in the House from Representative Stewart, and he got up and walked out in protest. Unnecessary.
Yeah,
unnecessary.
And that's the kind of performative stuff that's going to constantly come from it. But I'm looking at it that comment, the Pol Pot comment. I didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
And look, I could spend a lot of time talking about Mike Chippendale, the House Minority Leader. Few people, even in his district, if shown a photo of him and asked to identify him or offered his name, would be able to. But it's just but within the bubble, what you'd like to see here in Rhode Island is a place where we can kind of land the plane and say, okay, there has to be a level of coexistence here that is not superficial, because frankly, one, this dynamically is stupid, and it's just stupid. What are you doing going around giving you guys a hard time because you're celebrating you're celebrating genocide, one of the all-time exterminators in human history, because you hold a day of reason, and that's the kind of tributary nonsense it is problematic, because that should be a dialogue of either keep quiet or ask the right questions, but we've dumbed down our state's conversation so much that that's the argument that that an opposition figure takes to what you guys are doing, rather than going to the root of it and actually having an understanding of the work at hand. Yeah. That's the problem with Rhode Island right now.
Yes, or even having dialect with us. He won't talk to us or engage with us at all.
Yeah. It's a shame.
One of these days, maybe.
One of these days, yeah. Let's wrap with this in terms of, as you look to the future for 2026 and beyond. You've laid out, certainly have executed an agenda in terms of legislative priorities, in terms of your own event, in terms of your own awareness, and all of that. What's next?
Okay, I would like to get more involved in sponsoring things like book talks and educational things that people can come and listen. We had a great one on In God We Trust. The author came, and wonderful, discussion. And these are just events that are sponsored by us to bring things, what you talk about. For example, we could try to get a speaker to talk about how we resolve these issues rather than us versus them, how we get together and each of us give a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's one of the goals that we would like to do, find people and do that.
Yeah, we are just trying to get the bills we're behind passed by the end of the session.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're working with the recovery environment, and we're just trying to do what we can to get things passed, just make things better for everybody,
That's all we can ask for. Brian Cardoza, John Mertus, Rhode Island Atheists. Great work, great evolution, and now let's see if you guys get compared to any other monsters this year for holding something that is constitutionally protected in the state's court.
You and your employees work hard for your customers. At HealthSource RI for Employers, we work hard for all of you. We offer access to 18 quality health insurance plans plus dental, flexible costs to meet your budget and get your staff what they need, and customized local support to guide you through it all. More than 1,200 Rhode Island employers choose health insurance through us. HealthSource RI. We work for you. HealthSourceRI.com/employers.
As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org.